In order for people to really resonate with that confidence message and like how to really embody that, people like you need to know who you're speaking to. Like that's always the first question when someone's like, "Hey, I'm giving a presentation." Who's going to be in the audience? And that's the same way as we have to think of marketing is who do we want to attract? Because you can't speak to everybody in one way of messaging. It needs to be, we're so different. And I'm not going to be for everybody. People might find me and be like, nope, Midwest accent, annoying, stiff arm, like absolutely not. And that's totally okay. Like some people aren't going to feel connected to my story, and that's okay. But the people that do really connect. And
Welcome
really
to the
have fun with
Legalpreneur
it.
Podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Sager, founder and CEO of Legalpreneur Inc. As a serial entrepreneur and someone that works exclusively with small business owners legally protecting their business, I'm dedicated to covering common legal issues faced by business owners, providing you with the business knowledge you need to catapult your business's growth and showing you just how some of the world's most elite entrepreneurs have handled these legal and business issues themselves. In true attorney fashion, the information in this episode is not legal advice. This is for informational purposes only, and you should always consult with your attorney before implementing any of the information in the show. Hey, welcome back to another episode. I am really excited to have Madison Paige on the show today. She is a small business growth specialist, best friend with her genuine attitude and highly expressive energy. She helps small businesses leverage her community-centered system to grow small businesses that stand out and sell out by building a rockin' online community that is obsessed with your business. Host of the Small Business Growth Podcast, keynote speaker, and personal mentor, Maddie will turn your small business into a brand and get you selling on repeat. Maddie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So can you get us started? Tell us all about you. How did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, totally. So I've kind of always had like an entrepreneurial spirit. I was like the weird kid that always was like selling bracelets online or like having a lemonade stand when I was like 5 years old. I had dog walking businesses. I made like slideshows for events when I was like 12. Like I was born and bred an entrepreneur. And when I was 12 years old, my parents actually bought into an adventure resort, which was just like wild. So we do whitewater rafting, zip lining, paintballing.
Awesome.
Yeah, so much fun. We have campgrounds, campsites, and I like fell in love with it. It was funny. Like my parents, like we would go camping maybe once a year, but like we were the camping family that like rented a camper and like we didn't like sleep in tents. We weren't really that outdoorsy.
Yeah.
But boy, did that change pretty quickly. I don't really know like where that they were like, yeah, let's do this. This would be fun for you guys. And so I was answering like phone call reservations by 14. I was guiding class 4 whitewater rafting trips by 16. And I was the operations manager of a team of 35, managing people that were twice my age when I was 17, 18. And I did that for like 5 years. Through that, I just fell in love with the business elements of it. And it was so much fun. I was doing their social media, you know, like when I was 16, 17, probably horribly, but I was doing it. And it was like starting the whole journey. I went to college for business management and marketing. I was like, yeah, born and bred. I'm here. I'm doing it. Went to business school. And when I was in business school, I started a blog because I always need a project. So I was getting 2 degrees, had a full-time blog, and was managing my family's company that was 5 hours away from my college, all at the same time. And so I started this blog. It was sustainability, outdoor living, all of this stuff. And like nobody was buying from me. And I was like, how could I be doing this? Like I'm in college, I'm doing this, like I got this down. And it was just like, nope. And so I dove into the small business side of things. And when I really like changed the narrative was when I read something that was all about relationship marketing and building communities. And when you actually stop selling, you start selling more. And when you stop like pushing and shoving, you actually kind of build this community of people that love you. And this was before like the mainstream influencer era. And so I like dove into being kind of an influencer for my blog and started to sell products that way. And my blog blew up. But what I really fell in love with was the actual community side of things. When it started working for me, I was like, oh gosh, I found something. Like, this is fun. And I started doing it for local businesses in my college town, like yoga studios, hair salons, financial advisors, like these like Etsy shops, whatever. I was doing their social. And I fell in love with that. So I pivoted away from the blog, even though it was successful, quote unquote, where I had people sending me stuff. I had sales every day. I had all of that going. And I started doing social media management. People started asking me like, hey, can you just teach me what you're doing? Otherwise I have to pay you for eternity to be able to do what you're doing because it's clearly working. Can you just teach it to me, or can I hire somebody and you teach it to them? And I fell in love with the consulting side of growing people's businesses. So it's been multifaceted, from like adventure resort owner to blogger to all of these things. But now I've been in it for almost 7 years. I've coached over 150 people and different small businesses across a ton of different industries. And we're rocking and rolling there.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. So many places I want to dive into, but first, you still have the adventure resort.
We do. So this past summer was actually my first summer since I was 12 years old, not being there full time. And I live, like when I'm there, I live on property in a tent, or the last 2 or 3 years, I lived in a camper that had AC and a bed, big time upgrade. But yeah, like I've literally lived in tents for 4 months of my life since I was 13, 14 with a group of 50 kids. It was literally like, it's so much fun. Like it's like college on steroids, because I was there before I went into college. Everybody, because you're just playing, like during the day, we're still whitewater rafting and like zip lining. We're like, we're not doing schoolwork. And it was just so much fun. You're hanging out with people that are on vacation and having a blast. So they do still own it. It's like 3 hours north of the Milwaukee area. It's called Wildman Adventure Resort. And yeah, this last summer was the first summer I wasn't there, just because I always felt like I had to take a step back from my own business to be able to continue to be the operations manager there. And we have like 2 locations. We put like 700 people down activities on a Saturday. Like it's a multifaceted. We have like 7 cabins, 10 campsites. Like we got a lot going on. So it's just like, it's all encompassing from like April to October. So I was kind of like, you know what, I got to take a step back, because I can't keep like putting my business on the back burner either for those months.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. That is really cool. I may have to go check that out next summer, because that sounds really fun.
Yes, it's a blast. It's literally incredible. And it was an awesome way to grow up. And I still love the whitewater and all of it. And I go up there all the time. It's definitely my happy place. But yeah, definitely check it out.
That's awesome. Okay, so one area that I want to dive into is actually community building. Can you please explain? I feel like everybody has a different answer, but I want to hear from your point of view. Like, what does it mean to build a community?
Totally. I would say my definition of a community is when people are, especially when you have like an e-commerce business or like a small business, you're looking for those like ride or die fans, the people that are like posting your stuff and tagging you, being like, oh my gosh, I can't get enough. The people that are setting alarms for your new product releases, the people that are so excited about your products and everything that you have out there. I have clients that started off selling earrings, and then we built them a community, and now they sell clothing, they sell journals, they sell keychains, they sell ornaments. Like all of a sudden they just like open themselves up to be able to sell whatever they want, because their community just loves everything that they do. And they're like, yep, no matter what happens, I'm here throwing my credit cards at you. You could be selling a paperclip and I'll give you my credit card. And that's really what I try to grow for people, is that like expressive, loving, dying community around businesses.
I love that. Okay, so are you able to give us some tips on how to build that community?
Totally. So first things first, a lot of people, like I was saying through my blog, and I was right there with you, I was pushing product, being like, this is great. This is awesome. I love it. This is all the things that it's doing for me. And as in a totally different mindset, you have to really be almost like an influencer for your product. Even when you are a business owner, is like showing how they use it, why it's going to benefit them, really turning the focus away from why they need something to like, hey, you need this because my stuff is so awesome. It's like, no, this is going to be great for you. It's going to solve your problems. It's going to have these things. So really, first things first is you need to know who your product is actually really going to solve before you can build a community. You need a community before you even build, like you need a community in mind of types of people before you really start building that community. And this is like that ideal customer era where people are like, no, anybody can buy my stuff. Like women 25 to 35, everybody deserves to have my stuff in their hands. That's awesome. And yeah, Probably. Like women probably all could use your item, but we need to segment that down to be able to really grow that community better. Because if you're trying to talk to everybody, you're actually not talking to anybody. So first things first is building a ideal customer and like really figuring out who that person is, where they can like repeat, like a repeatable type of person that has a community that's like down for it. And then build a brand around that person. Build a brand that feels good for you, that is authentic to who you are, and really allows you to show up really easily and just naturally as who you are. And like I've had brands, and this is a big part of why I decided to move away from my blog, is because the community that I attracted there wasn't my like home, like wasn't my best friends. Like where I have my community now in my business world, people are in my DMs all the time being like, oh my God, girl, did you see this? And I'm like, no way. Like we are great friends, just chatting back and forth with each other. And that's because I picked the type of person and my branding is me embodied into it. Yeah. And it embodies into my ideal customer. So it kind of all builds. So first, ideal customer. Second, build a brand with values and visuals and messaging that type of person would like. And then it's all about collaboration in your content, really making a variety of different types of content. The average business owner really only posts like 2 types of content. And we need to be posting my 7 types of content is my content framework is we need to be posting more than that. We need education. We need benefits. We need personality. We need authority out there. And a lot of business owners are missing that element where people can't actually like latch on and love it and obsess about it. And that is really kind of where it starts. Ideal customer, building your brand, having content with variety that people can connect to and be like, oh, like I'm obsessed with this. And that's really where that kind of obsessed factor comes in when we all have that business that we like popped onto their social and we're like, oh my gosh, how have I never seen this before? This is gorgeous. You could buy anything here from me and I would love it. And that's what I try to kind of create in the community as well.
Oh my gosh, I'm loving every single bit of this. I love how you really just like break it down with like, I'm a firm believer as well as if you try to reach everyone, you reach no one.
Yeah.
And it really does come down to just really figuring out who is your ideal customer and getting as granular as possible, because I've been there. I know we've all been there where it's like, well, I don't want to get too specific because then I won't reach enough people. Yeah. But it's actually the complete opposite. When you get super, super specific, you actually attract more people.
Totally, because you can speak to them. And an example that I use all the time is if I were to be talking about confidence, like if I told anybody out there, hey, you need to do a speech on confidence, and you were giving that speech to kindergartners or teachers or people in the military or just your average, like a big group of people, your message would be different. So why do we talk about marketing in a different sense? We need, in order for people to really resonate with that confidence message and like how to really embody that, people like you need to know who you're speaking to. Like that's always the first question when someone's like, hey, I'm giving a presentation, who's going to be in the audience? And that's the same way as we have to think of marketing is who do we want to attract? Because you can't speak to everybody in one way of messaging. It needs to be, we're so different. And I'm not going to be for everybody. People might find me and be like, nope, Midwest accent, annoying, stiff arm, like absolutely not. And that's totally okay. Like some people aren't going to like feel connected to my story, and that's okay. But the people that do really connect and really have fun with it.
Yes, I love that. Okay. And as far as like building the community, what do you say for service providers? Because we have e-commerce businesses, we have service providers listening, and you touched on e-commerce. What do you have for service-based businesses?
Totally. It's all in the personal brand with services. And sometimes people are like already rolling their eyes and they're like, Maddie, no, don't tell me that I need to like show my face and be who I am online. But that is like especially when you are providing a service for people, they're connecting to you. It's really 2 things. It's being different, like having something that is proprietary and you, and like this is really what you are driving towards, taking a stance on some things, and having a strong personal brand of like picking your 3 to 5 personal pillars that you just like dive into for people to, and whether that is like for me, I have the worst sweet tooth in the entire world, worst or best, however you might want to say that. But I eat sweets. I literally need dessert after snacks, and it is pitiful, but I talk about it and people think it's funny. Black pepper, too spicy for me. Can't do it. I am the weakest And that's part of my personal brand. Like people see that and it's hilarious. And I'm like, nope, had ketchup and was like literally sweating. And I talk about travel and I talk about like outdoor adventures. And when I started like really leaning into that side, that is where people like my people really came out to. I live like a very natural lifestyle. Like I had that blog. So I try to like cut out a lot of toxins and like all of the stuff. And so now I attract people that also live that way. Do I have people in my audience that don't want to like live out of a tent for 4 months and don't live all natural and like whatever? Absolutely. And I love them and like they still love me, but because I am more myself and being a little bit more like authentic, real, genuine, like that is really where, and maybe that's not who you are. Maybe you're sassy, like be sassy, be really who you are and your people will attract to it so much.
Oh my gosh, I love this. This is so good. So when I'm curious if you have tips for troubleshooting as far as building that community. Let's say well, maybe not so much troubleshooting, but if they're listening, they're like, yes, I've been trying to build a community, really trying to get these super fans. Mm-hmm. What do you say to those? They're like, I just don't know what to do. I just don't know, like, how to, like, do I literally just ask them to like, hey, do you mind sharing this? Or what do they do?
Yep. So you train your audience the way that you want them to engage with you as well. And this is something that's really hard in the beginning when you feel like you have no engagement. When you feel like you're like, Maddie, I'm putting these stickers out on my Instagram stories, but no one's clicking it. It's just me and my mom like going back and forth. But it's the hardest thing to do is that first little bit of engagement. And so you are really training your audience to do that, telling them what you want them to do. No one's setting alarms for your collection releases unless you say, set your alarm, unless you show like the little alarm thing, be like, hey, being like, I know it's so cheesy. And we all hate that all the influencers are like, everybody's in my DMs saying this. And like, nobody's in the DMs asking them those questions, but they're doing that because they want you to be in their DMs. And so it's the same thing with business, whether it's service providers, whether it's e-commerce, no matter what, you are training your audience to engage with you. If you are not showing the engagement that you want to see, if you are not prompting that engagement, you aren't going to get that. Like for step one is like collaboration, put it out there and prompt that engagement. Is start with just like, if no one's engaging with your stories, just put the story sticker out there and be like, are you drinking tea or coffee this morning? Literally has nothing to do. The easiest question, no pressure at all. But the more little connections you can get with people, the more little engagement, whether it has anything to do with your business or not, the more they're starting to connect and the more they're getting used to connecting with you. And that's really where it starts. So you have to understand, like, right up, what does my dream community look like? What does that look like? What are people doing? Like, am I selling out launches? Tell people like this launch, like I only have limited availability. If you only make 3 things and you still say I only have 3 of these left, you're not lying. You are telling people that you do have limited availability. You're trying to get that out there to train your audience to do those things. It's the same way that like the Stanley water bottle. You cannot tell me that Stanley can't make 4 times the amount of those water bottles, but they made it scarce by saying, oh shoot, we sold out for like 12 launches in a row. And now people can't wait to get that water bottle. And now, miraculously, it's mass produced and you can buy them in Walmart and like whatever, REI and all over the place. They were training us to feel like it was such a scarce product that we needed it.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay. What is your favorite platform right now? Your favorite social media platform?
Well, I love Instagram for social media. I love Instagram just because I do think it's really easy to connect with people and really easy to just consume. Also, I do have a podcast. My small business growth podcast is like you can really get the energy, get the inflection. You can just like chat about random things. So I love podcasting, but from a social media standpoint, I love Instagram. I think Instagram is and they are still making big changes to continue to grow. Younger people are on Instagram, older people are joining Instagram. It just has the most potential. I do think TikTok has huge potential, but it is still a smaller segment of people on TikTok than Instagram.
Yeah, and I think TikTok, I've heard this and I see this, it's a great way for new people to find you, but it is harder to build that community on TikTok.
Totally, especially service-based businesses. Product-based businesses, I have plenty of clients that we do TikTok strategies and they blow up and they wake up to 100 new orders in the morning. But first of all, you have to be so ready to just like automatically like somehow just blow up and be ready to take on that. I've also had clients come to me before, like they blew up the night before and they're like, Maddie, I need you. Like, what do I do now? And so TikTok is great to like go viral, build an audience, but you're still funneling them to Instagram. That's why TikTok has the Instagram feature in the store, on the profile, is because they know, like I'm interviewing someone later today from my podcast that has 1 million followers on TikTok, but where their community is, his community's on Instagram with 50,000 followers, because you follow, like the engagement rate on TikTok is wild. You can have 1 million followers, but like, there's a lot of people with 1 million followers on TikTok that don't actually even have a community. People are just following them.
Mm-hmm. I know. And right now, the past like month, TikTok engagement has been absolute shit.
Yes.
I have 67,000 followers on TikTok, and it's like engagement is crazy. And I'm trying to actually dig more into the strategy, dig more into the data to improve the engagement. And everything I'm trying, I'm still just like bloop.
You're like 152 views.
Yes, exactly. And I'm like, oh, great, wonderful, but it's all good. Well, Maddie, this has been incredible, so jam-packed with so much good stuff. But before I let you go, I ask everybody the same question, and that is, what is your number one business tip?
Yes. My number one business tip is to not be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid to be like a little unique. Like if you're like, this really could be great for this type of person, like do it. Lean so far into that uniqueness, because that uniqueness is what's going to set you apart. We're all in this huge comparison bubble because social is so easy to consume information. But what makes our businesses unique, the businesses that stand out, are the businesses that are doing things differently. And the businesses that aren't just posting Instagram trends, that aren't just posting like the content that everybody else is posting out there because they see other businesses doing it and being successful. If you see a bunch of other businesses doing it and being successful at it, you are behind the curve and you won't be able to get ahead of that curve ever if you're chasing that model. So really don't be afraid to, like, if you have this weird reels like series that you want to do in your head, or this weird thing and you're like, maybe I could do this, like really lean in to that uniqueness, because that is again where community comes from.
I love that. Okay, and how do you work with clients? I know people listening probably like, Maddie, I need you in my life. Like, how exactly do you work with clients?
Yeah, I have a bunch of different stuff. I have a content course that if you're just like, teach me how to do social media content, it's called the Breakthrough Content Lab. You can come hang out with me on Instagram, and I have a bunch of details there. My Instagram is @thisisMadisonPaige, and I work with clients one-on-one. I have a mastermind that's coming out in January that is my bread and butter. It's called Product to Profit, where we really build this community. We really get your ideal customer, your branding, your content, and your community rocking and rolling. But I have a bunch of different stuff coming out in 2023 as well. I'm still not used to saying that yet. But yeah, I work with people one-on-one. I have my podcast if you want to just binge my stuff there. But I have courses, I have all sorts of stuff. So come on over. Otherwise we can do just like a one-time strategy call and we'll brainstorm and get some energy going and kind of reignite that fire a little bit.
Nice. I love it. Well, Maddie, thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
Yes. Thanks so much for having me.
Here at Legalpreneur, we're committed to providing a supportive legal community for all business owners. I know how scary the legal stuff can be. If you found this information helpful, I would be so grateful if you could share it with a fellow business owner. And quite frankly, it doesn't cost anything to rate, review, or subscribe to the show. Your support helps me reach more listeners, which allows me to support more business owners in their entrepreneurial journey. Have any questions or comments about the show? Feel free to drop me a line on Instagram. I promise I read all of the messages and comments. And if you want to be a guest on the show or know someone that would make a great guest, simply fill out our application form and a team member will reach out if we think it's a good fit. I'll see you in the next episode.